Imagine you're working on an oil rig, 41 miles from land, surrounded by nothing but dark ocean. Then, without warning, the floor beneath your feet begins to shake. A deafening explosion tears through the platform. A giant fireball lights up the night sky. Within seconds, the place you've called home for weeks becomes a floating inferno. Some men jump into the burning ocean. Others never make it out. But what no one knew was that this wasn't just an explosion. It was the beginning of one of the worst environmental disasters in human history. It's April 20th, 2010. The Deepwater Horizon is one of the most advanced offshore drilling rigs ever built. Owned by Transocean and leased by BP, it's operating in the Gulf of Mexico, about 41 miles or 66 kilometers off the Louisiana coast. Below the rig lies nearly 1 mile of ocean, and beneath that, workers are drilling another 3 miles into the Earth's crust. Their target, a massive oil reservoir containing millions of barrels of crude oil. There are 126 people living and working aboard the rig. For weeks, everything has gone according to plan. The well is almost complete. Soon, the rig will move on to its next project. Everyone believes the hardest part is over. They couldn't have been more wrong. Deep beneath the seabed, pressure begins to build. Natural gas, mostly methane, starts forcing its way into the well. Normally, heavy drilling mud keeps the pressure under control. But on this day, something goes terribly wrong. Gas slips past the barriers. It races upward through the drill pipe at incredible speed. Workers don't immediately realize what's happening. By the time the warning signs become obvious, it's already too late. The gas reaches the surface, spreads across the rig, and finds an ignition source. Then, everything explodes. The blast is so powerful that windows shatter hundreds of feet away. Steel twists. Equipment is thrown through the air. Flames shoot over 200 feet into the sky. The entire platform shakes violently. Workers are knocked off their feet. Smoke fills every corridor. Some desperately search for missing co-workers. Others race toward lifeboats. For many, the only escape is to jump. Imagine leaping nearly 80 feet into the dark Gulf of Mexico, knowing the water below is covered in burning fuel. But staying on the rig means certain death. Coast Guard helicopters and nearby ships rush toward the scene. Out of the 126 people on board, 115 survive. 11 workers never return home. For nearly 2 days, the rig burns uncontrollably. Then, on April 22nd, Deepwater Horizon finally sinks beneath the waves. Everyone thinks the disaster is over. In reality, it's just beginning. When the rig sinks, the damaged well at the seafloor is left completely open. Oil begins pouring into the Gulf of Mexico, not for hours, not for days, but for 87 straight days. An estimated 9 million barrels of oil escape into the ocean before the well is finally sealed. From space, the spill is visible as a massive black stain spreading across the Gulf. Thousands of birds become coated in oil. Sea turtles wash ashore. Dolphins die in unusually high numbers. Fish, coral reefs, wetlands, and beaches suffer widespread damage. Entire fishing communities lose their livelihoods. Tourism collapses across parts of the Gulf Coast. What started as one explosion has become an environmental catastrophe affecting millions of people and countless animals. Investigators spend months trying to understand what happened. The conclusion is sobering. No single mistake caused the disaster. Instead, a chain of poor decisions, failed safety tests, equipment problems, and communication breakdowns allowed gas to reach the rig. The final line of defense, a massive safety device called the blowout preventer, failed when it was needed most. In the years that followed, BP agreed to pay tens of billions of dollars in cleanup costs, compensation, and legal settlements. Governments around the world also tightened offshore drilling regulations in an effort to reduce the risk of another catastrophe. Today, the flames of Deepwater Horizon are gone, but its impact is still felt. The disaster changed the way offshore drilling is regulated. It reshaped environmental policy, and it became a reminder that when humans push technology to its limits, even one failure can leave scars that last for generations. Because sometimes, the most dangerous disasters aren't the ones that explode. They're the ones that keep spreading long after the fire is gone.